Hey, Chris with RC Worst here. Welcome back to another great video. Today we're going to be walking you through replacing a power cord on it's an MSK HS200 M2. So it's a Myers pump, and this one has the connections inside of the body of the pump. So there's a good chance that we're going to have to drain the oil out of this thing to make the connection. But before we do that, there's one easy thing that we can check to verify before we go through all that work. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so obviously we've got our brand new power cord here, just fresh out of the box. It's got a couple of push-on style connectors and then a screw-down connector for the ground. The first thing that we're going to do real quick is just take this grommet out, or this connection out here, and verify that we can't actually get access. And actually the first thing we're going to do is cut that old wire off, because it's just going to get in the way. And then the first thing we're going to do is undo this and just see if we can get at it. I don't think we will be able to. I think that we're going to have to drain the oil out of this thing in order to do that. I might need a second pair of channel locks. So if we're going to loosen this before we unscrew it, so we're not twisting all the wires up in a bad way. Okay, there we go. So here's what we got after taking that out. Clearly, I definitely don't see the wire nuts at all in there, so we are going to have to drain the oil out of this thing, as I suspected. But it is a good idea to go ahead and take that off and see if you can avoid what we're about to do. So what we need to do now, there's a plug in the top of this pump. Maybe I should turn it so you can see it. This is the plug to drain the oil. So we've got a clear bucket here. I like a low-sided bucket so that I don't have to hold the pump way up in the air while I'm draining the oil. Make sure to clean this out really well, and we're just going to put all our oil in there while we perform the rest of the surgery. So you may wonder, why are we saving this oil? This is a particular type of oil. It's dielectric oil, so it's non-conductive. So it's used to cool and lubricate the internal components, but at the same time, it's not conductive, so it's not going to burn out the motor. Not something you can just pick up at your local hardware store in most cases. Yeah. So what we're going to do, lift the body off of the pump and then get access to the cord, of course, so that we can replace that. Okay, so this is going to come out. Let's move this out of the way. And now we need Phillips. Next, we're going to remove the seal plate here. This is what keeps all that tasty oil in the motor housing area.
I'm sure of it.
Okay, we got the seal holder ring off, and then the actual thing keeping the oil back, a little gasket here. We'll put that on a fresh paper towel. Now what I'm hoping is there's enough cord that I don't have to cut anything before we actually see the connection here. Fortunately, it looks like we did a pretty good job getting the oil out. There's not a ton of oil spilling. So that's good. So what we're looking for, it's kind of hard to see. So you can see that the wire nuts are right in here. So you got almost just enough slack to make your connections. And the actual motor ground, let me turn this, is right here on the end of the motor right here. So it's pretty simple. Now I'm seeing something I don't like that actually looks like a manufacturing defect right here. This wire has definitely been crushed at some point, and that was before it was even installed. So we'll just go ahead and undo these connections. Probably should get the dielectric oil off of my hands. Now, just kind of wipe this stuff down a little bit. It's a little hard to get a grip when you've got oil all over you. And then if you didn't notice before, folks, I noticed when we took this apart, there's actually, it looks like the motor might have been dropped or something before it was inserted into the pump. Because once it's inserted, it really can't move around in any way. And it looks to me like we've got some broken strands in the wire here. So this isn't what we went in here to repair. This is all on the motor side. So this could ultimately lead to a premature failure on this pump. So we're going to go ahead and make this repair. It's unexpected, but we're going to fix that while we're at it. So first, let's just get this housing out of the way. So we've got all of our connections unhooked. I guess I should spin this one off real quick. And now our motor's totally free. And we can go ahead and just pull that old guy out of there and feed the new one in. That part's easy. But before we go ahead and hook these things up, like I said, I want to make some repairs. And it looks like we're going to have to modify. We're just going to have to pull these ends off because that's not how it was connected initially. So let's go ahead and get the right connector to go ahead and fix that, and we'll be right back. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, like I mentioned, we're just going to use a small insulated butt connector here, and I've got these twisted up real good. So we're just going to crimp these on. Make sure we get a good seat on it there. Okay, I feel a lot better about that. I'm gonna just make sure it's good and snug. Okay, I feel great about that compared to what we had before. So the next thing we're gonna have to do, of course, is with everything run through, get everything hooked up. So we'll just start by cutting the ends off of these, saving as much of the wire as you can because it's hard to stretch the wire, and we barely had enough to begin with. Strip these back a little bit. Twist them up real good. Fortunately, they're color coded, so I don't have to remember much. Make sure those good and twisted on there before you apply the wire nut. And make sure that wire nut is nice and snug in there as well and doesn't pull off. Give it a good tug. Okay. Now the easy part, oh, I guess that's a flathead. Easier with a flathead. Take our ground screw. See if I can see it from this angle. Kind of a bad angle. Make sure that's good and tight. Great. Now we just do everything backwards. Taking care not to smoosh anything. I'm going to kind of pull this out as we feed this in because I don't want the motor sitting on any of the wires like we just saw when we pulled it out. It's clearly not good for it. All right, that looks nice and flush. So this edge is flush with this edge, and then we've just got the groove for that gasket. Just get the excess oil off. I'm not going to use a towel because it's always good to have a little oil on these O-rings. But actually, I think that this might be a petroleum-based oil. So what we actually should do is probably dry it and use some super lube, silicone lubricant, to just give this a fresh moisturizing layer. So let me grab a bottle of that right quick. Just gum that up on my fingers and just run it around a couple times here. Slot that in right there. Super simple. And to make sure everything is seated properly, I'm just going to take a dead blow hammer and just gently tap on everything to ensure that it's all as flush as possible. Okay, I'm not getting any movement, so I'm happy with that. We're going to go ahead and apply the this plate right here back. And you can tell what direction it goes because of these bevels, so that your screws will sit flush. So there's no questions there about how that's configured. One, two, three, and our screwdriver right here. Now I'll tell you, the fun part's coming. When we go to add the oil, that's when things are going to get exciting. Good and snug on these connections, because that is what's holding all the goodies inside. So I go pretty much as tight as I can go with my hand. And then before I snug this one up, we'll get this other one started. Oh, maybe. Oh, same tactic, didn't work. If I would have done that one more time, I think I would have been clinically insane. Okay, and since I'm so greasy right now, I'm just going to grab a paper towel so I can get a little better handle on these. I want to be careful also not to strip any of these, because if this ever has to be taken apart again. Okay, so I'm happy with that. We're good and snug. Now we can go ahead and put the volute back together here. And you do want to be cautious not to slam these parts around, because it is a carbon ceramic seal, shaft seal. Ceramic, of course, is breakable. Now we're ready to throw our bolts in. Okay, so as we're tightening these up, I'm not going to go hellaciously tight. I'm first going to make my way all the way around the body and get them all about an equal tightness, which is just snug. And then we'll give them a good final snug from there, because you want everything to go down as evenly as possible. Everything needs to be nice and balanced. But once we get to there, you just really want to tighten these up pretty good. Oh, that side, see, that's tight. Okay, that's great. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to leave this out for now, so that when we're filling, we got a little bit of air that can make this process go a little quicker. So I'm sure you guys can see at this point, I've got a very specialized funnel, electrical tape, some bell end reducers, because I don't want any spillage, but I also use this bucket where pouring is not going to be easy. So this is how we're doing it. See, it's going to fill so much faster by leaving that cord grip not hooked in, not threaded in, because we're allowing the air. Otherwise this will take you all day. I'm not even joking. So I'm sure you guys can see that there are a couple of floaties in that oil, and I assure you that is not from, actually there's a piece of wire that when I stripped it, it shot in there, but all these little chunks floating around in here were already inside. And when we took everything apart and actually looked inside the housing, there was other material. So like small fragments of material that during the production process get in there. And so we're not introducing anything new. It's just what was already in there. All right, we got the oil in. And what we want to do now is to ensure that we didn't lose oil, or if you do lose a little bit of oil, what you want to make sure is you look in there and that it's over the top of the motor. So I can see in here, we'll see if we can get a shot of it. It might be hard to see, but as long as the oil is over the top of the motor, you know that the upper bearing is getting lubricated and that you're going to have sufficient coverage for cooling and all that fun stuff. So we're clearly there, so we'll see if we can get a shot of that for you. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put some thread seal on these threads. And before we thread this in, we're actually going to twist this a few times in the opposite direction so that when we tighten it, we don't twist all our wires up. Now that's probably about as many twists as we're going to get. So we'll take and shove these in here. Get on in there now, boys. Okay, so we'll give it a couple extra little spins, and then we'll get these threads started here. That way we don't have our leads all twisted up in there. Okay. The next thing we're going to do here is just to ensure that all our seals and everything are still sealed up nice, our cord grip was threaded in properly. Instead of replacing our plug right away, we're going to go ahead and we've got a pressure gauge on here, a hose nozzle so we can hook it up to air, and we're just going to go ahead and pressure test and make sure that everything is actually sealed up well. So we'll get that all hooked up and show you what it looks like. Okay, so we've got our pressure testing system. We're hooked up to air here. Notice our gauge is a little off. That's just because it's a wonky gauge, but it's still going to give us, we're only going to put about 5 to 10 pounds of air in here, and then make sure we're holding. So we'll let that sit there for just a couple of minutes. It looks like we are at 16 relative to our off by 9 or 8. But as long as we hold steady at 16, we're good. All right, so we've waited a number of minutes here, and we're still holding very steady at that particular spot. So I'm confident that we don't have any leaks of any sort. So we'll relieve the pressure slowly. There we go. Make sure the gauge, yep, okay, good. We'll just take this guy off. All right, we'll get a little bit of thread sealant on our plug. Pop that bad boy in place. And use our Allen wrench, tighten that down. Now the exciting part for you folks at home, as exciting as it is, we're going to now that we've repaired this pump, of course we can't sell it as brand new, and the reason that we replaced the cord to begin with is some shipping damage resulted in the cord getting damaged. But now that we've gone through everything, made our repairs, we're going to list this pump on the clearance section of RCWare's website. Now, if you're not familiar with the clearance section, we have a lot of stuff on there that's deeply discounted. So we're going to go ahead and deeply discount. This is a 2 horsepower sewage pump. You're going to see a pretty significant discount. So if you need one of those, go check it out. It's always a good thing to check from time to time. So anyways, rcworks.com/clearance. Hope you enjoyed the video on how to replace a cord in a sewage pump. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content. Hit that bell if you want to be notified of when we post new videos, which is once a week. So that's all we got for you today. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.